In this video, I'm going to share with you how to edit and how to improve your workflow to save time. Hey world, Tiffany Stacey here, aka Tiffany Wilson, and I'm the owner of Tiffany Stacey Photography and Video LLC. And I provide weekly video marketing tips to help your business grow. And if you haven't done so already, please feel free, if you're watching this on YouTube, to subscribe to me. I post every Thursday, and please don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I post every Thursday. So last week I shared with you a little bit about the layout of Premiere Pro, and I hope that it helped you feel just a little bit more comfortable and confident in working in Premiere Pro. So this week I'm going to share with you basically how to edit and a little bit about my workflow and how to stay organized, because I tend to work in pretty much a pretty systematic fashion. I cannot just go off and do all of this stuff. I have to work in a way that is organized, because it can get kind of crazy when you work in Premiere Pro if you don't stay organized. So as you can see, this is my workflow for video editing, particularly with the videos that I post every Thursday. And as you can first see, I start off with the main footage, which is the A roll. That's usually what you see with me being the talking head. I'm usually, the first thing that you see on the screen. And then if I need to use things for emphasis, I move on to the B roll. And the B-roll is basically the additional or secondary footage that tells the story a little bit better. And usually what I do is I lay that B-roll on top of the A-roll footage, so it's like an overlay on that video. So that video will play while you hear me talking in the background. And then after that's finished, I move on to the enhancements with the video. And enhancements are really just the text, the transitions, the graphics, music, the captions, or photos that you see in a video. And it's basically like what you would do with makeup. It already enhances what is already there. It makes the video more visually engaging and appealing. And also you're able to share more information more concisely, especially if you're using some kind of text graphic. Once I do the enhancements, I go into color correction, and I use color correction to improve the overall look and quality of the footage. I don't do it heavily, but if you want to improve the overall look, you would want to shoot flat in camera. And that is basically where you lower the contrast and the sharpness of your footage in camera. And then when you go into post-production, which basically means editing, you go and you add that stuff back in. I don't usually add in contrast and sharpness. I only add in like vibrancy, because that's just the look I'm going for. I don't really like to do too much when it comes to these videos, but I have used all of them at one point, and it does improve the quality at the end of the day. So after that's all done, I go into review mode. I usually review the footage several times before I export it, but I'm usually reviewing the footage as I'm editing, so it's not like a major surprise at the end. And so once I've reviewed it and everything looks good, I move on to exporting. Go through exporting, and then after I export, I distribute to all my social media channels. Let's take a look at what that looks like. All right, so if you remember last week, I have my 3 clips here. Now we're just going to go through these clips and just find the different clips that I like. Just scrub through it like I said last week, and use the ins and outs points, drag and drop into the timeline. Take the next clip, find what I like out of this one. And I'm not getting too picky about this, only because, this is a tutorial, so this doesn't really need to be that long. And also, I wanted to let you know that if you're going to use your razor tool, as I clicked on the razor tool here, I wanted to get rid of this because I do like a little countdown before I say something usually. And so I just go ahead and hit delete, and I go ahead and move that down here. And I know this is the end of what I was about to say. Go ahead and cut. Whoops. And that's that. Now let's pretend that, I do this all the way down until I get a completed video with my main footage, my A-roll footage. And after I finish that, I will go in, and if I want to include some more footage and I want to reference something else that I'm saying, but I want to cut to something else, I will use another video like I have here, and I'll scrub through to where I, of course, like it. I think that's a good, whoops, actually start here. And instead of bringing all the entire video and audio track down to the sequence, I just want to use video only, because I just want this to play as I basically speak on the A-roll. And I just want this to sit on top as I basically talk on the A-roll. Video into your business, and so you see it cuts to the other clip, and it'll play as long as that track exists. 3, 2. And of course, if I had a B-roll, I would never have a clip that long, but this is just an example. After I have my B-roll footage, I've added all that good stuff, I will go in and I will start making some visual enhancements to make the video more visually appealing. Just like last week, I had typed in here, you change the color, which you can do right here, which is the appearance under this graphic, the text graphic. And I put, hi, my name is Tiffany. To capitalize it. And then if I say, for example, that's something that I can visually enhance. Let me cut this here, cut the A-roll footage. If I wanted to create like a transition from this clip to that clip, I could go in to the Essential Graphics panel, and I can use my templates, and they have a series of different transitions here that you can use that are from Adobe. I personally do not use these. I'll be honest with you. I think they're kind of cheesy. But if you're just starting out, they're perfectly fine. They solve the problem, but and it's just something you can get used to playing with. But you can buy transitions. One good place is was it Envato Market. You can pay for different templates and all kinds of stuff, and music, all that good stuff. So I would totally look into that if you want to get just a little bit more advanced. So let's see if this will play, because sometimes I have some issues with playing it. Sometimes these tend to lag. So let's see how this works. Video into your business. You see how that transitioned? So it's something kind of cool that you can use that can really improve the overall look of how your video looks. If you wanted to add music, I have my little music folder there. You'll take that, and all you'll do is, and here's the thing, do not use copyrighted music. You will get shut down. So just try to find royalty-free. You can purchase a license for different music. Envato Market is a great place to start, or they call it Audio Jungle, I should say, but they're all under the same umbrella. I drag this under the audio clip of this video. So I'm not even going to get into the Essential Sound panel, because that's a whole different ball game. I'm just trying to make this as simple as possible for all of you out there. So old school way that I used to do it was I would right click and I would go to audio gain. And then all I would do was just adjust here. I would go minus 20 is kind of good a lot of times for me. And then you go and you have music playing throughout.
3, 2, 1. So last week I shared with you 5 reasons.
And I don't know if you can hear the music in the background.
Business. Well, this week I'm going
but
to share with you why you shouldn't. And
you can definitely hear the music. So that's another way you can add music. A big thing that I like to use are captions. And I already have the captions laid out here. So I have my captions already laid out here. You can do them from scratch, but that's for another video. That's a whole nother thing. So if you were to do it from scratch, you would just right click, hit new item, go down to captions, and then this box pops up, and then you can go through the details from there. But for the sake of time in this video, I like to I already have my captions done. So if I were to go and put them on the video, I would drop them in a video track. And this actually does not line up with this particular video, but this kind of gives you an idea. And then if you actually click on the box, you can go in and you can change like the size and like the font and all that good stuff. I tend to stick with font that's readable, so Arial, Times New Roman. You can use this little box here. You can just figure out where you would like the caption to be located within the screen. I tend to stay with this middle little box here to the bottom row. So it just looks more appealing to me. So next up, we have what I like to call color correction. Color correction is great for wanting to improve like the whole overall look, set a mood for your videos. If you want it on the cooler side, you can do that, or you can have it on the warmer side. But my only thing is, if you plan to do all of that stuff, make sure you shoot the video flat. And that just means that you go into your settings and you dial down the contrast, and you also dial down the sharpness, so you can just add all that stuff back up when you get into the color correction part. Okay, so all you have to do here is click on the video track, go to effects control, and you're going to go back to your project panel, and you're going to go to effects. And then there's a tab right here, video effects, color correction, and I usually like to use Lumetri. People have different ways of color correcting. I like to have a lot of control when I color correct. So basically what I usually do is I go to creative and I dial up the vibrancy. Usually for these videos, I'm like a 47. 47. I don't really mess around too much with this stuff. I don't even really add sharpness to it, because personally, I kind of read that sometimes it's just not always good to make your images super sharp, especially on like human skin, because it's just, especially as women, we kind of like to have our skin look a little bit on the softer side. So in this case, sharpness doesn't really matter to me. I know it matters to a lot of people, but it doesn't really matter to me. That's pretty much the extent of color correction for me. And after I'm pretty much done, all I do is just review. So I'll play the video in full.
So last week I shared with you.
And once I play it in full and I watch it a couple times and I'm comfortable with how it looks, I go ahead and hit export. And, I usually just keep it on H.264. And I usually go with the high bit rate. And I also make sure that I name this appropriately. So let's say tutorial 2. Let's say tutorial 3, since we have tutorial 3. And I'll go in. Everything looks pretty decent. I'll say use maximum render quality. So it gives me the best possible quality. When you go in to save the video, are pretty extensive, and I'm not going to even go into that because I don't even do all of that stuff, but I've done it and it does make a difference. But I also understand that the the everyday person doesn't really care about this kind of stuff. So I don't tend to care about it so much. Only when I'm just kind of in that kind of mood and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna bump this up just a bit because I want this to be the best quality that is possible. Hit export. And it'll start exporting. Once it's done exporting, I'll go ahead and distribute it to my social media sites. And then from there, I do all that magic stuff with SEO and keywording and all that good stuff. So that does make a difference. So I know I didn't share the full process of this, but I hope it helped. So I hope that was helpful for all of you out there. Again, if you got any questions or you got any comments, please feel free to share. I am trying to make this content as viewer-centric as possible, so any suggestions would be helpful. Please feel free to follow me on other social media outlets. My links are in the description. And again, I will see you all next week. And please have a happy and safe rest of the week.